Hey, welcome back to Rick's Reviews. I'm your host, Movie Real Rick. And today, we're talking about the highly anticipated conclusion of Stephen King's terrifying thriller about a child-eating monster that thrives on your innermost fears, It, Chapter 2. It was originally a 1,200-page novel published by Stephen King in 1986, developed into a two-part made-for-TV movie in 1990, and then rebooted in 2017 as a two-part feature film. And now, the long-awaited second chapter has finally been released. To recap, It Chapter 1 follows a group of outcast 80s tweens with dysfunctional families who are stalked and terrorized by a shape-shifting monster who primarily takes the form of a creepy clown named Pennywise. Pennywise can see inside your mind and transform himself into your worst fear, allowing him to exploit his victims' phobias and then feed on them. After a rash of child murders occurs, this group of friends does some research and determines that this unearthly ancient creature awakens once every 27 years, feasts on a bunch of kids, and then returns to hibernation. The new movie, It Chapter 2, takes place in present day, 27 years after the first movie was set. And that likable ragtag group of teens have grown up into highly successful adults, having moved away to big cities and forgotten all about their childhood trauma with it. But when the carnage starts again back in Derry, this group reluctantly returns to their hometown, forcing each of them to relive the agony of their dysfunctional families and nightmarish ordeal with it. Together, they must once again conquer their childhood fears and scramble to find a way to annihilate this bloodthirsty creature once and for all. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. And as you can imagine, this movie is f***ing scary as hell. I mean, a shape-shifting clown that terrorizes and eats children? It doesn't get any more frightening than that. Plus, while this movie follows the same general premise as the original It Chapter 2, this movie is full of totally new scenes that are completely different from the originals, keeping you on the edge of your seat since you don't know exactly how it's going to play out. And for the familiar scenes that were kept and remade, they have intensified them to be even more unnerving and disturbing. So I would definitely pack an extra pair of underpants just in case, especially since this movie has a runtime of nearly 3 hours. Despite its long runtime, this movie doesn't really drag at all. I think a big part of that is the fact that there are essentially 6 main characters, each of which have their own individual backstory and get a fair share of screen time. Plus, this movie is chock full of nightmarish childhood flashbacks, so you're seeing each character portrayed by both an adult and child actor. I think this variety of characters and actors portraying them really helps break up the extended runtime and helps bridge the 2-year gap between the two movies, serving as a great refresher of what transpired in the first one. That being said, I highly recommend you see Chapter 1 before you see this new movie. There's a lot of psychology at play in this movie, more than just scaring the shit out of you. It shows how nobody really has the perfect childhood, and how the way we're raised affects us well into adulthood. We're all afraid of something, and we're all haunted by bad memories from our past. You can either let these things consume you and paralyze you, or face them head on and then move on with your life. But what I enjoyed most about this movie was the much-needed comic relief provided by Bill Hader, who you'll recognize as a longtime cast member of SNL, as well as a handful of comedy films. One of my biggest complaints about most horror movies is that there's either too little or too much comic relief, taking away from the overall feel of the movie. But with It Chapter 2, Bill Hader provides just the perfect amount, as he says and does the things that I think I would say and do given similar circumstances, with an endless stream of hilarious, vulgar exclamations. You'll also recognize the kid from Stranger Things, as well as James McAvoy, most notably as Professor Xavier in the latest X-Men movies. I think Bill Skarsgård did an excellent job as Pennywise, especially since he's already kind of weird looking even without the creepy clown makeup. Side note, the original Pennywise was played by Tim Curry, who's primarily known from his role in the Rocky Horror Picture Show as Dr. Frankenfurter and from Home Alone 2 Lost in New York as the snooty concierge. In short, If you like the original It movies, you like Stephen King, or you just like scary movies that make you shit your pants, you're gonna like this one too. I think this is Stephen King's most frightening and best adapted movie to date. So if that is your thing, I highly suggest you check it out. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my review, please like and subscribe, and comment below on what you thought of the movie and my review. And tune in next weekend and every weekend for new reviews on movies and TV shows. Same Rick time, same Rick channel. Thanks for watching Movie Real Rick.